Today is National Indigenous Peoples Day here in Canada. It is a chance to celebrate Indigenous culture and beliefs while advancing our efforts of reconciliation. Joining us for more is Indigenous Activist Sarain Fox. Welcome back to your morning.
Manogashab, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Say that to me again.
Manogashab.
Which is good morning.
It's good morning.
Thank you. All right, the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls concluded that after 1,200 pages, thousands of women are victims of a Canadian genocide. Why is it important not just to celebrate Indigenous people today, but in every day? How does the conclusion of the inquiry factor into what we're doing today?
You know, there's so much incredible work being done all across this country by Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people alike to not only shine light on all of the complicated history, but what's being done right now to uplift and to amplify the voices of young people and for our women who are really changing the future. And so I think it's important to celebrate the work that's being done to change our collective future and narrative.
It is a painful and a long process. It requires a lot of patience on both sides of the discussion. We saw some of that when, after 1,200 pages, thousands of testimony, tens of millions of dollars, it all came down to an argument over the word genocide, which is unfortunate. It's like we proved our point by missing the point.
I absolutely agree, and I think that we should be all just as outraged by all of the facts that were laid down in the report. The word actually doesn't mean as much to me as all of the situations that are happening across the country.
Right, which still deserves our attention, not just today, but every day.
Yes.
I want to ask you about what you call not reconciliation, but reconciliation. What does that mean?
It's the action piece. It's kind of what we're talking about, where we need to look at the ways that we can be a part of the change, where we can actively be a part of reconciliation, so things that we can do together, whether it's language reclamation, learning a little bit of the language of your community, or land acknowledgement. It's about what are we doing collectively, not what are we talking about. What are we doing?
You recently traveled to Australia. This is a country whose Indigenous population, the treatment of it, mirrors somewhat a bit of Canada's history as well. How is Australia now looking to Canada for guidance when it comes to treatment of Indigenous people and Indigenous issues?
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Australia really has some very similar histories to Canada. I partner with the Tread Right Foundation here to run a storybook school which teaches the art of moccasin and mukluk making, and so we brought that program to Australia. So I think it's also about nation-to-nation building. So when there's something successful working in Canada for Indigenous people, let's offer it to we call them our brothers and sisters in Australia, to help them also uplift and amplify their voices. So yeah, I think it's really important to remember that Indigenous people worldwide are connected.
It's been interesting to see just in the 3-year history of this show. In the first year, we were really talking about Indigenous education becoming infused in part of our school system. Not just the victimization of it, but the actual celebration of history and how they weave into our fabric. And we've seen a lot of that. But I also feel like now we're coming up to this issue of recognizing that Indigenous does not just mean one homogenous voice, as we're seeing even play out with pipelines. There's differences in opinions on the environment and in politics. It's not all one homogenous voice.
Absolutely, and I think really acknowledging sovereignty is also acknowledging agency and realizing that we have many opinions and many voices, and often we collectively align because we are all connected. But I think it's very important to recognize that, like a family, we have very complicated and diverse views. And I also think that that's part of celebrating who we are, is that we have all of that diversity. Yeah.
What will you be celebrating, reflecting on the most today?
On all of the incredible work that I'm seeing young people do. So I'm seeing young people hang out with elders more than ever. Language reclamation, this is the year of Indigenous languages, as stated by the UN. So I'm celebrating all the incredible work that is being done across what I call Indian country.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm so excited.
Sarain Miigwech, thank you for being with us here in your morning.
Chi Miigwech and happy solstice.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.